Wilmore. I'm with Stratametis, and we're trying to solve the problem of big data and the processing time that it takes, and specifically in one sector. This is the area where you see the big data landscape, and you hear all this information about Internet of Things, or maybe even the smart homes, smart cars. All this stuff has aggregate data, but the amount of data that's being collected, it's in formats that are in varying volumes and sizes and different varieties. So even with your smartphone or maybe even your Fitbit, there's different things that's being taken that is not even being accounted for that's sitting on a server side. And now we're looking at specifically the oil and gas big data situation. So if you look at that, you see that there's several variations of data being collected when an oil well is being drilled. And then along the way in the supply chain, there's different information being collected along with the sensors. So with optimized maintenance programs, or also even for long-term logistic planning for an oil drill site. But if we go back to the very beginning, which we are in Texas, you know about the oil and gas energy business. The average price today is $44 a barrel. And for the business now to make even a profit or even break even, in economic sense of breaking even, of being profitable, of a zero sum, it needs to be at really $85 a barrel. So with that kind of discrepancy, you can see that there is actually an energy crisis because these companies are using reserves and sending onto the market at a loss. So what is there to do? Because it costs up to $7 million for a hydraulic fracturing well and up to $1 million for a horizontal well. But at the prices now, the direction to go really is to harvest some of the unharvested hydrocarbon that's called tight gas or tight oil deposits, which in the United States, there's still 700 trillion cubic feet of tight shale gas and also 66 billion barrels still left to be harvested. And those are only at the depth of 10,000 feet or 12,000 feet, not at the depth of hydraulic fracturing. So with the data being collected, when we visited earlier in the year, so in the Travis County Sea, you're collecting 20 terabytes. 20 terabyte is volumes a month. Your USB drive. Most of you're carrying around maybe 1 gigabyte or 8 gigabyte at most on one of the thumb drives. 20 terabytes is all the information collected across the seismometers across Travis County. So I place maybe thousands of these and collect instant capture, and that's how much information you're getting. From the images being layered, the geophysicists and the analysts are actually sending it through a computer system. They come back with images, and then they're manually queuing the process to interpret is there oil deposits in conventional drilling. The problem with conventional drilling is that it's only at about 60% accuracy rate. When you talk about hydraulic, it goes in horizontally. It's getting everything within the rocks, whether it's water, oil, mud, whatever it is, and then they sort it out later. But this is why it's also costly on the other end. So we're trying to get to the cheaper oil deposits to try to reverse the oil prices right now. So our solution, Desperado, actually reduces the processing time and also takes away the complexity of data processing on a parallel system. And also it can crunch the information much quicker for these companies to make decisions faster. So we're dealing with volume, velocity, and the variety all at the same time, because the platform is actually developed by geoscientists and also a parallel computing specialist at Texas Prairie View A&M. And what they have done is that they have built a platform on a parallel platform, which meaning in-memory processing, multiple processors at the same time for all the images, and then applying Hadoop and Spark, it adds on machine learning. So the more images that you're feeding into a system, the better it becomes at predicting at where these oil deposits are. So instead of waiting weeks or months, you can actually get this information within hours. Now this is a mock-up of what the product it is. What it is at the current state, it's 3 different components. The first thing is when you load in your data. Everything you've collected, download onto a hard drive, feed into it on your local site behind a firewall. And then the second thing is input the algorithm that they have already built in place from their background in geophysics and also in seismology. And then the third thing is actually visualizing the information on the 4D platform. What is 4D? It's not just the length, width, and height. It's also time interpolated information. So you can actually see if there's fluid movement. Especially with conventional drilling, it's actually a tight deposit. And if it moves, you need to start determining where the fractures are and whether there's another channel to be developed. So for our market size, we're going to focus for our model on developing a available kit, a software development kit to be installed on site, so there's no security questions involved. Every company have their own proprietary algorithm and their formulas that they want to keep secret, and that's their secret sauce. So putting that behind their firewall actually helps the customers feel more comfortable in those situations. And the second thing is that we'll offer consulting and training services throughout the process for the first year and then the second year. So the engineers that we will employ in the company will have to be people who have worked in this in reservoir engineering or actually well development processes in the past. And then we'll also offer maintenance. Now, because this is a software as a service platform, we're going to have to focus a lot of it on sales and marketing to get the word out actually of how this is going to solve the market trend. Because if Texas is leading hydraulic fracturing, what has to happen is start educating others about this is why the trend has to go back until oil prices can pick back up. And this is our product service roadmap. In the first year, as we've discussed earlier in this mentoring session, is that we're going to start looking at employing the people very early on this year. Of course, hiring the tech team. That doesn't just involve the parallel processing, the data scientists, the analysts, and also the geoscientists within the first year. And the very critical point that we need is to find the first beta partner is the client, so we can test out this model for its viability and how accurate it is, because the machine learning doesn't improve unless we can feed more data into it. And as we talked about, that companies aren't willing to share this information, so we have to find that first customer to lead on to each of this roadmap. And we're projecting within 4 years there will be a 5x to 20x return, depending on if we can capture the whole oil and gas data market. This is our team that is involved in the project. Dr. Lei Huang is the chief data scientist over at Texas A&M Prairie View, and he's been working on this for the past couple of years and has received NSA funding specifically in developing this platform, because there's other multiple uses, and not just processing oil and gas data. There's other uses in processing life science data. So if this proof of concept works and we can get our first client to actually show this is a working model, there's so much more potential involved in this. And we also, for this specific platform in this market, we have Ederson Santos, who's been involved with Landmark, which is a subdivision of Halliburton that processes the data information services for them. And Albert has been involved in global product management rollouts and managing multi-million-dollar contracts. And MJ, he has had previous mechanical engineering, also development and maintenance and operations and improvements within Baker Hughes. And I, of course, work with the regulatory agency of oil and gas. What we had learned through this process, and I had touched upon it in a few slides ago, was that it is beneficial in the licensing of this technology for A&M to keep part of it, and also for us to keep part of the technology, and then for the originating university to keep to write up the contract as a royalty aspect. However, we run into a situation of the technology typically comes with the inventor, so the inventor is key in developing this product. But since in academic environments, they typically want to develop at a pace that's different in a corporate structure. So in order to take this to market at the right time and actually for a viable product when a client needs it, we need to hire a geoscientist. We also need to hire a parallel computing data scientist. And that's going to be more than one. And of course, the consultant, the inventor, who's going to be on the team, will have to be a chief principal consultant, but will not be available full-time. So we will need an infusion of talent, and those talent is very hard to find. And they start at the minimum $100,000 to $125,000 per person. And also, with the market that it is, it's also with timing to find a client who's willing to invest. What we're asking is $500,000 at this time. Is pretty critical, because we're asking for the money and also asking for the partnership to test the information. So it's one of those situations where you have to build in quite a bit of trust and reliability. And the scalability of the situation is if this were to work, we then have to find a way to build a platform to scale up to the volume that they need to process the information. At this point, we're thinking it's highly unlikely unless within the next 2 or 3 weeks find a beta partner who is willing to test this at no cost. So that's going to be our first partnership. And then if it's actually a proven concept to work, we'll have to push academic researchers to produce at a much quicker rate than the projection of August 2017. So that's what we have discovered.
Yeah, so non-pitch related question. Are they, is A&M willing to give you the technology?
Yes.
They are.
Yes, they want to. So the discussion that I had with them is that because, as you saw, it's three different components. One for the data, one for analyzing the algorithm, the other to visualize. For us to license, am I licensing all three parts that's integrated, or am I licensing each of these separately? That's one of the situations. It's not a really good idea to license things that are separate at this point.
Expand on what is separate. What do you mean by?
Okay, so
Are
say
you providing three services?
No.
And some to differ, just three parts of the same?
it should be one single platform on one single entry point. But what it has to do is has to run on three different units. All the code is developed on three different machines right now.
Units being like.
So say I have a project. So say like Google Translate, right? You type in like hello world and it translates back into French immediately. But what's happening is I'm typing in on one screen hello world and it's processing on the second machine and then it outputs on a third machine. The code are not
Oh,
integrated.
so they're developed in different environments and you need to be able to integrate everything.
Exactly. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Well, that seems like if you've got the money, that's just a
Exactly.
problem,
If we got the money, yeah, I can hire
Yay.
Yes. It solves a lot of problems.
Throw money at it, it'll be fine.
Throwing money at it, it's good. It's probably a viable solution, but you want to be able to test what we have now with an existing company. So if Shell or BP is willing to test this on one of their wells, it's already happened, then yes. But it's finding that first partner who's willing to test it.
Do you know what size of a partner are you looking for? Are you looking for like the BP shells or some
No.
kind of intermediate? Smaller?
Intermediate, small. I mean, this actually can save small oil and gas operations.
What I was never super clear on is the cost benefit to the client. So what are they going to pay you? How is that? Like I have some really good friends that are going into sort of a similar space, and what they do, they do a data service for sensing the structural integrity of a well. And so their model is, okay, you're going to pay us a percentage of the cost of the well each year. So you pay us like 1/4% of the well's cost every year. Is this so your software as a service? Are you paying based on that? Are you paying based on some other
So
rate?
Okay, good. Because we did touch on that when we developed the financial model. What we have is basically a straight licensing fee for $350,000, $400,000, provide you so many seats that you can use, and then we provide 1 year service.
Okay.
That's it, and that's been calculated into how much we will earn back in those seats.
In terms of licensing fees, so are you kind of giving them the base thing and then they're integrating it, or are you providing? Okay.
Yeah, we'll set it up on site for them.
Right. Makes sense. I think that the cost benefit wasn't super clear to me. So this person will pay us this much money because it's going to make them this much more money, right?
Oh,
and
okay.
I get the idea of, okay, we're going to be able to get more oil and gas out of the ground.
Yeah.
Awesome. But in terms of really stupid, simple pictures, this means more
How much
oil
is going to earn
out.
back for them?
And so in a given situation, that could be as much as an extra 20% of
Increase in
oil
their
and gas
revenues.
out of the same site. So what does that mean in dollar amounts to them, and why would they pay for it? Because obviously it's going to make them money more than they're paying you.
Okay, that's a good point.
Really concise.
Very concise. Okay, thank you.
Don't get why it's undecided. It sounds like you have everything you need. It just takes more time to make the relationship. Am I missing something?
Everybody needs to make money.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody needs to make money. It's a really good solution. I think it's a very good solution. I don't know if the timing is right for people to take that risk right now.
Okay.
They're a team out of they're master's students. Most of your team, if I am correct, are professional, or in their 30s, 40s, that in order to pursue this opportunity would be giving up pretty nice jobs that pay. Yeah.
That's a great today.
You have a
Got responsibilities.
Make everything on the team slide 10 times bigger. So you see these people are really good at this. You have decades of
The
experience.
profiles.
As a company with 3 people to a people to develop this solution. So
Yeah.
like this is so good that we've got all these people willing to quit their careers to like focus on this or whatever.
Sure.
Team is a funny thing because as Jason was saying, like you can either lead with it or not. In your case, I would almost think it would be a strength to like start with the team, considering you guys are all professionals and have the experience and expertise to do this. Whereas myself, I'm not going to say, well, I'm working with my dad, but if I were doing my own company, I wouldn't say, oh, I just graduated UT with an undergrad in psychology. They'd just be like, cool, you're unemployable, and you're working on this. But like in your case, like your team is a real strength that shows your credibility in this area.
Yeah.
I agree with JP. It'd be cool to highlight it early, perhaps.
I love your slides, like the graphics and the way you have everything lined out. I think it's easy to. Most of it. There was one slide I didn't like, but it was that picture of the big data. I don't know if you were trying to make it look confusing by having a lot of stuff, but your slides are awesome. And how you have Stratametis at the bottom. Also, on every slide, I like it.
Yeah. He's been doing this professionally. Not for 40. He's not 40. Not for 40 years. He's in his 30s.
The 50s.
Well, he looks great for his 50s then.
I would say that on some of them, like this one, you have a lot of blank spaces around the borders of a lot of the
Uh-huh.
slides. And so some of them, it almost looks like you've taken a picture on a white background and dropped it into a black background. Why isn't your background just white and like that's the whole slide? Because you've got like, 20% of your slide is just blank border.
Okay.
And from a distance, you could do one.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I think it's pretty great. I was going to just comment about the lessons learned thing. Given that you are a no-go, I was just thinking you might want to tighten that up a little bit because it seemed like there was, what specifically were we trying to learn and instill? That's probably a lesson for really everybody. What did you try to learn? What did you learn? That's really simple, but it's really trying to push, really stuff program and that sort of thing. It just seemed, I didn't really.
You didn't get the whole.
It wasn't tight enough.
So just a question. So is the reason you said not sure? There was a bit of doubt with the answer yet. It's like you're waiting to see in these next couple weeks
Yeah.
before decision day.
Yeah, because market research is constantly doing these interviews, and that's a
Okay.
proven method. So,
Okay.
we got more contacts within the last week, actually within energy, mid-sector
Mhm.
energy decision makers. So really, for this professor, I want this as much to work for A&M as it must for UT, because A&M actually, the professor who taught us this came out of there.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I want this for a win for him and also for the person who developed it, because he's in his 40s. He went his whole life doing this. So if it's a win for him, I'm happy for him, because then he stays on his faculty, develops this new research for the energy industry in Texas, and then of course a win for UT because we came out of UT.
Wow, UT and A&M collaborating.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Right? It's like the ultimate.
Unlikely.
Who would want that? It's not. Yes, it's about money, like Jason says sometimes, but really for me, it's not about the money. It's like, can you find a viable solution to solve the problem? And that's really what it is, and that's
Making
what I'm
somebody's
saying.
life work and
Yeah.
making something.
If they can make one person's work happen, then
That's awesome.
I would say for your go no go, almost like the crowd that'll be at demo day may have connections, and so when you say unlikely, like I think the frame of mind that most of us approach go no go is like, is the business good or not? What
Yeah.
you're saying, I would almost say like go, but we can't because nobody's
we
willing
need
to help.
these two things.
Right, go, but we have this great team and they can't just sit on standby,
Yeah.
so we need to make something happen.
Okay.
Because when I hear unlikely, I immediately doubt the premise of the business, not
Sure.
just the fact that you haven't met the right person yet.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Okay.
And then in the room, somebody's like, I like this, I can help.
Yeah.
You might have one last sort of
And-
heyday.
And by the way, this whole go no go thing, we're not gonna track you and kill you if you don't if you say go and you don't go. To JP's point, if there is that one connection that's missing, and if that happened to be a go, say go.
Yeah.
Just because you never know who's gonna be there.
Sure.
I guess I'd encourage. But if teams have got to a point where they just for whatever reason it's no go and they know it's no go, then that's a different story. But
Yeah.
with you, it sounds like there's that one missing thing that if the pieces were right,
Yes.
then you would do it.
Yeah. I need the amount of data from a company.
Yeah.
Their testing is on megabytes. I need terabytes of data from a company, and
So
also
you need a corpus to begin with.
yeah, I need somebody who can give me the data to test on an old well they don't care about. And I need a geophysicist who is studying at PhD level in school.
Have you talked to Mitch and Kathleen about that?
No. Yes. Okay.
I would talk to Mitch. I mean, they're the
Yeah.
I new to ATI, don't know all
Yeah.
their connections in the energy space, but like that's they brought up Parham.
Yeah.
I think they have connections in that space.
That's right, because she focused also on the clean energy, right? So the
Yeah.
benefit of this is not just that.
Mitch, yeah,
It's cleaner,
right.
relatively.
Yeah. So my suggestion is definitely before decision day, probably after this, shoot them both an email, attach them. I'm sure they'd be happy to talk to you in person.
Okay.
They're all super helpful.
They've been helping JP. So.
Okay. Yeah, yours was great. It was really great. Okay. Anything else?
Is Becky from Shell? Becky Taylor?
Yes,
your
Becky is
mentor?
from Shell. And she said this is actually a real problem, which is why we decided to do SEAL. That if you can solve this problem,
Okay.
this will actually help the industry. But she said we need to do more research.
Okay.
And from SEAL, that's what we had learned. The research is that you need to test the amount of data and then push the academics to
Does
produce
Shell
faster.
have that data? Or I guess I'm not willing to share. Does Shell have the data?
You need to find somebody who's willing to give you the data.
Have you been working with Becky?
I have not talked to Becky.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering. Okay.
This is nitpicky.
Yeah, no.
But you start off on a big data standpoint, and my initial assumption with big data, having seen a fair share of data things that I've worked on in companies, my general basis assumption with big data is that it spreads more than just one entity, and so then there's a little bit of cognitive dissonance when you say, okay, nobody's going to share the data, so it's not. I don't know. Maybe this is just a personal thing that I hear it, but when I think big data, I think, okay, you're gonna every installation of this is going to help all of the other installations. But if you're within a certain entity, nothing leads there. So it's not so much big society data, but it's just integrated solution for one entity to make sure that all of the data within one entity is being used to help the company. And so I don't know if big data is the right term or not. It totally might be.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think big
Seismic
data, I think something else.
Okay, so specify seismic data, maybe?
Right, or just say we're going to take all of the seismic data in it, which is proprietary. So
Okay.
we're gonna make the most use of that data for each company.
Got it. So we'll take out that first slide and specify. And then also.
The first slide, yeah, the big data slide, because you say this is all big data everywhere, and then you go to seismic data,
It made a disconnect. Okay. That makes sense.
and none of those people are really your competitors, right? They're all just big data companies.
Yeah, exactly.
I might think you have 1,000 competitors, and then why?
Okay, that's true. Okay, that's helpful.